back. And for those of you just joining us, hello, and thank you for being here. Brunch is definitely my favorite meal, and I cannot wait until we can get back to visiting our favorite brunch spots to share waffles and mimosas with our loved ones. Until then, we are so thrilled to have icon Matt Basile joining us for today's Brunch Life session. Matt is the founder of Fidel Gastro Street Food Company and author of Canadian best-selling book, Street Food Diaries. In September 2018, he launched his second cookbook, Brunch Life, which has been nominated for a Taste Canada Award and World Gourmand Award. He has also hosted 2 seasons of the internationally sold television show Rebel Without a Kitchen, which now clears on Netflix in Canada, US, South Africa, Europe, UK, India, and Australia. So definitely check that out. Matt currently collaborates with brands and food personalities on his popular YouTube channel and participates in numerous advisory board speaker sessions. He's here today to take us through his trip to Nashville, to explore the world of fried chicken while writing Brunch Life, and tell us more about how brunch isn't just a meal, but a culture. Matt will be answering your burning questions about food and more during the session and at the end. So please submit your questions in the Q&A portion and I will get to them throughout the presentation and any that are left at the end. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt. Hey, Matt, thank you for being here.
Unmute. There we go. Hi, everybody. I think I am in. What a great introduction. That was amazing. Just to update everyone, the Taste Canada Cookbook Awards were in October. I didn't win, but it's okay. It's okay. Maybe I should update the bio and let everyone know that I was a runner-up. But thanks so much for joining us. Sorry, I'm just changing my camera view here. Oh, I'm a winner to you all. Well, thank you, thank you. I'm just changing my camera view because I want to make sure that everything is in view here. Oh, no, I'm too short. Sorry, everybody, one quick second. Okay, so brunch, yay, brunch. Big thank you guys for having me be kind of your lunchtime intermission, I guess, so to speak. So when I was asked to do a little bit of a brunch demo, I thought it was such a fun idea, such a great way to kind of, show people some fun food to do at home. I know we've all been at home, which kind of feels like forever, but it's okay. The light is at the end of the tunnel, and soon one day you'll be able to have brunch again with other people, but for now you can brunch at home. So we're gonna do Nashville hot chicken, and for the vegetarians in the group, we're going to do Nashville hot cauliflower. Very similar approach. The only difference is obviously one's with chicken and one's with cauliflower. That's the biggest difference. And if you do have a copy of my book, Brunch Life, there's a whole chapter in the book devoted to chicken and waffles. Different variations, different flavor profiles. So today we're kind of taking a bit of a hybrid from a few different places in the book. But yeah, we're gonna get started. So just to start off, there's a few things you're gonna need. You're gonna need chicken, obviously, and cauliflower. So those are the 2 main ingredients. Some butter, some cayenne, some pickles, some lemon juice, some salt, some pepper, some garlic powder. Really helpful. You're gonna need some eggs. Some eggs there. Some all-purpose flour. And if you have some Frank's Red Hot, you're gonna need that as well. As far as equipment you're gonna need, like I have a little tabletop deep fryer. Not everyone has access to these, and I'm totally cognizant and mindful of that. So another way, if you're ever wondering how to deep fry at home without a tabletop fryer, I often use at home a heavy bottom pot. So like a La Creuset. I think they're fantastic for frying. You always want to give yourself a little bit of room for displacement. So about 2 inches off the bottom should be all you need to deep fry something. And then another great little tool to always have at home is a digital thermometer. This is great for probing the inside of meat to see when your food is cooked. So we're gonna use that for the chicken, for example. It's also great to, get a temperature gauge of oil when you're frying, because when you are frying at home and you're not using something that'll help regulate temperature, it'll keep climbing up on you. So you're gonna have to keep adjusting the dials down so that it maintains the temperature versus climbing up or dropping down. And maintaining temperature is actually one of the most important things when it comes to deep frying. So little tips to put in your back pocket while you're brunching at home. Okay, so what is Nashville hot chicken and how is it different than fried chicken? Well, really, it's pretty much the same thing, except the flavor profile that kind of goes over top of it. So I'm gonna use chicken legs, and because that's what they used at Hattie B's, which is the first time I'd ever had Nashville hot chicken was obviously in Nashville at a place called Hattie B's. It's super popular. And there's like 4 degrees of spice, and I picked the third from the top, so the second spiciest, because I like spice. But really, it's butter, it's cayenne, it's a little bit of acid. So you can use either pickle juice, or lemon juice, or a little apple cider vinegar, and that gets melted and kind of brushed over the fried chicken. Now, traditionally, it's served over just white bread, sliced white bread. And really, it's there to just absorb any hot butter sauce that's going to be leaking all over the place. But in the book, what I've done is I've ripped up pieces of white bread and mixed it with egg and put that in a waffle iron and made white bread waffles with it. Yes, that's a thing, white bread waffles. But today we're just going to quickly whip up, and I actually shared with everybody our buttermilk pancake recipe, because guess what? You know what a pancake is? Once you put it in a waffle iron, it's a waffle. So I'm going to just quickly whip off some waffles for everybody, and then that way we can put out, ooh, there you go. Thank you. We got the recipe available. Yeah, so pretty much it. I should probably cook. That's probably a good time. That's my cue to start cooking. All right, so I'm going to put some gloves on because obviously I'm going to be going back and forth and stuff, and I don't want to have to leave every time I touch chicken and then want to touch something else. So we're going to get started with the eggs in a bowl. Now, if you don't have eggs at home, totally fine. Milk works, buttermilk, fantastic. I like eggs because then I find the eggs really help the dredge, and dredge is a term for the flour, stick to the fried chicken. And that's probably the most important part about making fried chicken at home is the dredge. Like, you really do value, or you rather, you look at like the quality of your fried chicken on a couple things. One being like moistness and tenderness of the meat itself, but then like the crispiness and flavor of the batter. So that's what we're gonna do today. I got a little bit of Frank's Red Hot here in a super duper tiny bottle. And I'm just gonna whisk that into, I mean, if it's already Nashville hot chicken, then why not make it a little bit hotter? Okay, so that's our egg wash. So I'm gonna place, I have a chicken leg here. Chicken leg, that's gonna go right into the egg wash. Before I start to make sure that that chicken is fully submerged and covered, this is our dredge or flour. This is what is gonna be actually create our fried chicken coating, the crispiness, but there is a trick to it. So before we get into transferring our chicken to the flour, what we're gonna do is ensure that this is well seasoned. So I got a little bit of salt and pepper here. A little salt and pepper in. Got a little bit of garlic powder as well. Now you can put cayenne or paprika in your dredge, but I don't recommend it. And the reason why I don't recommend it, or if you are gonna do it quite lightly. Because if you overdo it, there's quite a bit of color, obviously in paprika and cayenne, or even chili powder, quite colorful. So the problem is, if your dredge or flour mix is too dark, and then you fry your chicken, it's gonna look like super dark brown on the outside, the exterior, and maybe even be undercooked on the inside. So just something to be mindful of. So now I've got my seasoned flour here in one bowl, and I have my chicken in the egg, chicken in the egg wash, chicken in the egg in another bowl. So before I transfer it, like I said, I want to make sure that this chicken is fully coated with egg wash, because really that's going to be the thing that allows the flour to stick to the chicken. Now I'm using a bone-in, skin-on chicken leg. You could do this with boneless, skinless breast, or boneless chicken thighs, or you can get whole chicken and hello, hello, all good. I don't know what happened there. Or you can use whole chicken and butcher it into 8 pieces, into smaller pieces. So I'm using the chicken leg. It's nicely coated in the egg wash and hot sauce. And now I'm going to transfer it to my flour here. Okay. So now that it's in the flour, we're going to cover it in flour. Now this is actually how you get the super crispiness. And at this point, you want to make sure that your oil is already preheated to about 350. I wouldn't go over 350 because when you do put raw chicken in hot oil, it will come down in temp. That's just a thing. It's how it works. But once it's in this flour, you want to squeeze it in. You want to literally take your hands over the meat and squeeze the flour. And those little pieces of crispy exterior that we get on our cooked chicken is only possible because of how dredged this chicken is. So now you're going to carefully, very carefully, add your chicken to the hot oil. Now, some people like to sway it back and forth. That helps a little bit too. It just prevents it from kind of sticking to the bottom, which is really important. But with the fryer itself, I have a basket here so I can give it a shake. So that kind of is doing the same thing. So now while that's happening, I'm just going to tidy up here a little. Awesome. Okay, so while that's happening, let's talk about waffles. So I like it now. I've actually already got my waffle batter here already mixed because I had to put my waffle maker all the way back here. I was running out of outlets. So I'm just going to put my waffle mix into the waffle iron like so. And it leaks a little bit, so I'm just going to put something under it. It's one of these stand-up waffle irons, so sometimes when you close it, a little bit of batter starts to come out the bottom. But yeah, so I just used my OG buttermilk pancake recipe to make the waffles. And like I said, everyone was sent the recipe. What's great about this is it works as waffles, it works as a pancake. 2 factors with pancakes and waffles: you want them nice and fluffy and the ability to kind of rise and have some nice air pockets and bubbles in them. A lot of that comes from making sure that you have a good combination of fats in there, whether it's sour cream or buttermilk or a combination of the two, or a little bit of, I like both using baking soda and baking powder. The two together, very nice. Very, very nice. So our chicken's here. It's not ready yet, obviously, we just put it in. But I just want to kind of show everybody. I'm just going to give it a quick little flip. With the crispiness on the batter here, I don't want to, I'll wait to show you because it's hot oil. I don't want to hurt myself, but I'm going to show you. So basically, when you lift it up, you can see these almost cornflake-like pieces of batter, kind of crispy. And that's really where that crunch factor comes into play. So now while that's frying, we're gonna make the spicy butter sauce. It is so easy. It's unbelievable how easy this actually is. So we got a little sauce pot here. And I have about 4 tablespoons of butter in the pot. So we're just gonna melt that lightly. While that's melting, now it's just 3 other ingredients, and that's it. And now you can obviously do a lot more than just these 3 other ingredients, but these are kind of your base ingredients. You have to have cayenne. Cayenne is the key to proper Nashville hot sauce. Like, that is just the thing. You need an acid. Like I said, I'm going to use fresh lemon, but you can use pickle juice, pickle brine. You can use apple cider vinegar. You could use white vinegar too, but white vinegar is a little, a little intense, I find. What else? Yeah, pickle brine's a great one, especially because we're going to be using pickles to garnish the chicken as well, which is also the thing with Nashville hot chicken. So the butter is starting to melt. And once it's melted, we're going to hit it with some cayenne, and then we're going to hit it with the lemon juice. And just give it a quick little mix, because in that mix is going to be what we pour over top of our chicken. And then the chicken part of this demo will be done. The waffle should be ready at that time too. And then I'm going to switch gears over to cauliflower. In fact, we can start to get that ready now. So we have a whole head of cauliflower here. It's kind of hard with cauliflower because I find it's a little bit of a different, every head of cauliflower is a little different. So I'm going to say for right now, let's just use a quarter of a head. That'll be able to sit on the waffle in a similar way. So you're going to take all the leaves off. We have a quarter head here of nice cauliflower. We didn't forget about you. What happened? I don't understand. Oh, the vegetarians, yes. Yes, we did not forget about the vegetarians. Never, 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 never. And in fact, what's so great about cauliflower is it is a sponge for flavor. So when you fry it, it actually gets super crispy. And then you wouldn't even, like, the way I make vegetarian food is it should actually satisfy the palate of someone who enjoys eating meat. That's kind of the way I look at it. So we got a quarter head of cauliflower here. We have some tempura batter here, or tempura flour here. You're gonna wanna whisk, and you're gonna either want ice water or ice club soda. Either way, you want it nice and cold, because that's what actually helps get the batter even crispier when you go to fry it, is that the fact that it's cold. I find the bubbles, the effervescence in the club soda makes it that much better, but ice water also works. So we're gonna add a little ice water here. And basically, you wanna, it's a visual thing, right? So you wanna add some water, give it a whisk, and the consistency of the batter should be thick or evenly, no clumps. It should be like a paste, but a free moving paste. So you should be able to easily coat the cauliflower, and it should easily run off of the bowl as well. All right, so adding a little bit more water here, just to get, okay, perfect. So now what we're gonna do is, this chicken is almost done, which is great too, because the chicken obviously takes a little bit longer to cook than the cauliflower. So I'm just gonna flip the chicken around. Oh yeah. Oh, beautiful. And the cauliflower is gonna sit in the front end of this fryer. But yeah, I would always say, definitely, if you're gonna use it in the same kind of frying vessel, definitely get the chicken going first. It takes much longer than the cauliflower. And then we can transfer the cauliflower. So we have it here. We want to make sure that that batter is completely submerging our cauliflower. And it's going to go into the fryer. Great. So now we have cauliflower in our fryer. We have chicken in our fryer. We have our butter, which is now melted. So and now we're gonna start to season the butter. So we have melted butter here. I'm gonna add a good amount of cayenne to it and juice from half a lemon. Now you do this off the heat, so that way your butter doesn't burn on you, and you just give it a whisk. And you'll see it's a bright, super bright orange color now. So much flavor in there, so much heat. Once it's mixed around, add a little bit of salt. Give it a little bit of saltiness. And then that way, when the whole dish is ready, we can just kind of paint it over top of both. Timer check on the waffle. First waffle's done. I'm just gonna I have enough batter here to do another half waffle. Just gonna do the half waffle as well. All right, so waffle down, ta-da, waffle. Let's see how our chicken's doing. So I'm flipping the cauliflower over now so that can fry on both sides. Chicken, I'm just gonna pull out. So I've just got everything. What's great about the fryer is it's got this little pedestal. You're gonna wanna take your probe thermometer and make sure it's on the Fahrenheit setting. You're going to stab the piece of the meat that don't hit bone and try and get the largest piece of meat. And you want that internal temperature to read 160 Fahrenheit. So this now reads 167 Fahrenheit. So that means the chicken is cooked. So I'm gonna transfer the chicken to the waffle. And I'm just gonna drop the cauliflower back down. The chicken is on the waffle. I'm gonna show you that in 2 seconds. Cauliflower is down. So there we go. That's that crisp. Remember that whole squeezing thing I was telling you about? Like, how do we get that fried chicken that you're making at home super crispy? That's all from the squeeze, okay? So now what we're gonna do is just, before we put the butter on, give it a little light seasoning like so. Got a little brush here. Give your cayenne butter a little mix, and you paint it. So we have butter and cayenne and lemon juice, and you want to put enough on it that batter absorbs all that flavor, and you always do it while it's hot. Because while the chicken's hot, it's just looking to grab onto flavor. Now look at that, look how red that is now. That's all from the cayenne. Now you can see why I was saying don't put cayenne in your dredge, because if it's already super dark and then you add this butter cayenne sauce to it, it might look like dark brown, not that flavorful. Okay, so that's there. The only thing we're missing is a couple pickles. Ta-da! Ta-da! Now, obviously, that there's a waffle, you want to put maple syrup all over this. You do you, and you live your best brunch life. See how I did that? That's the name of the book, Brunch Life. And it goes great. The sweetness of the maple syrup really comes together quite nicely with the cayenne mustard, the cayenne butter sauce. So my cauliflower is up. I'm just going to grab that second half waffle and do the exact same thing with that. All right. Okay, so now we have our fried cauliflower going on top of the waffle. So very similar, like the chicken, we're just going to paint it. And what's great is it maintains that crispiness for quite a decent amount of time. Obviously, if you were to just take this pot of hot butter sauce and pour it over the top, you might lose some of that crispiness. But this is, in my opinion, by painting it with the brush like this, you're not oversaturating it with sauce and with fat, and you're then therefore losing some of that crispiness. So there we go. That is Nashville hot cauliflower and waffles and Nashville hot chicken and waffles. Yay, yay, brunch. So delish. Thank you, Kurt. Delish.
Matt, we have some questions.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry. Sorry
you came out of nowhere. Like I got the AirPods in, so it sounded like the voice of God, Matt.
So are there any places in Nashville in particular that you recommend, or that you like were your favorites when you were there?
So specifically for Nashville hot chicken,
Exactly.
so there's two places that you go to. There's one place. So let me backtrack. The original dish actually isn't Nashville hot chicken. It's Nashville hot fish, and they used fried catfish, and it's really really tasty. Same technique, fry up the fish, make the butter, cayenne sauce, and that was invented by a place in Nashville called Prince's. And Prince's, if you want to go there, get ready to line up because it's been busy since probably 1970 something, whenever they first opened their doors. They're not open on Sundays, so just keep that in mind. Hattie B's is now become the, what's the word, trademark place for Nashville hot chicken. They weren't the ones that necessarily invented it, but they definitely helped popularize it. So those would be those two places, Hattie B's and Prince's.
Amazing. Can't wait to try that. And question about, not that I think there would be leftovers, but say you
Sure.
say you had a leftover piece of fried chicken, how could you reheat it to maintain that crispiness, or is that not even possible?
So yes and no. Obviously, once you put the butter sauce over it, you do run the risk of it now over time, if you're not eating it, losing that crispiness. So if you're trying to get that back, so let's say you made a whole chicken, you got a leg left over, it's got that butter sauce. What do? The best thing to do is put it in the oven on a very high heat, or even under the broiler, and just keep your eye on it. Now that's not going to heat the meat part through, but that will ensure that the skin gets crispy again. So you can either you can do one or two steps. You can have it at 300 and gradually warm it up, and then flip it over to a broil or a 500 to get the batter crispy again, or do it the opposite way where you do that part first and then drop it down to 300 to actually warm the chicken. Either way, you have to be prepared that it's never going to be the exact same. So just keep that in mind. If it's boneless, what you could do is chop it up and make a fried chicken Caesar salad with it, and just eat it cold. But that would say, refrying it, especially again with all that butter sauce on it, not really an option. If you haven't done that, so if you're kind of doing that to order or and you haven't actually put that cayenne butter sauce on, then yeah, you could just give it a quick refry. Again, won't be the same, but still lots of flavor.
Amazing. Great tips. Some questions around, what was the first meal you ever remember making? Was it for anyone special?
Geez. So I'm an Italian Canadian. Both my parents worked. I'd be shocked if the first plate of food I'd ever cooked for myself wasn't a plate of penne. It was probably pasta, most likely. And chances are it happened just coming home from school. I'm famished because I'm in theory growing, even though I'm only 5'4". And it's I need some food in me. I don't know if dinner's going to be 6, 7, 7:30. So I probably made some pasta. I used to make a lot of quesadillas. That was a huge thing growing up, and burritos. But I would say pasta was most likely. I can't really remember, but most likely the first thing I ever cooked.
Amazing. You can't go wrong with pasta.
I mean, you can go wrong with pasta, but not as a decision. I've had some pasta. I'm this is not good.
What would you say to our viewers, or what are your top tools everybody must have in the kitchen, or top ingredients, a go-to for you?
Yeah, for sure. So honestly, I was just telling someone the other day, especially if you don't have access to a barbecue, you got to get a good cast iron pan, because you can do a lot of really great dishes in a cast iron, whether it's a seared steak or some smash burgers. Cast iron allows you to get a really good sear in spite of cooking indoors. I think having a digital probe thermometer, meat thermometer, really important too, because I get so sad when I'm at people's homes and I see them cutting into the food to see if it's done. That's you're just going to dry it out. So there are better ways to do it, and this is definitely one of them. To get a prothromometer. Another thing is to make sure you have a knife sharpener, something like a steel, and learn how to sharpen your knives. Because a sharp knife is actually less dangerous than a dull knife, believe it or not. So those would be three things that that everyone should think about having.
And what about ingredient wise? Spices, any of your favorites?
I always have fresh lemon lying around. I think a little bit of fresh lemon goes a long way in a lot of recipes. I mean, again, Italian Canadian. I always have garlic, one way, shape, or form, and fresh ginger. Those two things can, garlic or ginger can take your dish in one of two directions. So those are pretty key. Yeah, those would be my things. Fresh lemon, a little ginger, a little garlic.
Love it. And who would you say who's your chef's inspiration?
Oh, wow. So I guess overall, Roy Choi has been someone I've always really admired. He kind of is the godfather of the modern food truck movement in North America. He's based out in LA. You know, now he has a total food empire, but it all started with one food truck, the Koji beef truck. So, and I had a chance to meet him, and he's a super focused, down to earth person. And I think Roy Choi is like where it's at.
Amazing. And I'm going to come on here for the last part, and so you can see my face.
Oh, hey, what's up? How's your day going? How's the day going? Good?
Amazing. I wish I had a plate of hot chicken and waffles here, but it looks incredible. Thank you. We wanted to do some quick rapid fire questions with you, some fun ones before we let you go.
Sounds great.
Ready for them?
Let's have it.
What movie, book, or TV show would you recommend we all get if during this quiet time, downtime? What's been your go-to?
I mean, I'm a Star Wars fanatic, minus the prequels, but include The Mandalorian. I also did the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe in the way it's meant to be watched. So there's actually like charts online that you can. That's actually a lot of fun. It's like 24 movies that are all linked together. So if you have a weekend to kill, and you're that, like, it was great to do this at the beginning of like when lockdown happened, because it was still kind of cold and crappy weather. Now the weather is obviously much nicer, but I would say, yeah, you know, if you've seen some of the Marvel movies in isolation, do this. Google the order to watch them and start from the beginning and go through the entire thing.
Amazing. I'm definitely going to do that. Name a song that makes you happy.
Ooh, everything by Led Zeppelin. I hear Led Zeppelin. I'm a big Zepp fan, so anything by Led Zeppelin. Or Fell in Love with a Girl by the White Stripes. Yeah, anything I can like hum to. I'm notorious for butchering song lyrics as well, so just saying.
You do you.
If I can hum versus sing, I'm way better off.
Yeah. Name a person who you think of to make you happy.
My grandfather. He was a huge inspiration to me. He's passed away about 7 or 8 years ago. Actually, I was just thinking about him a lot yesterday, because we just went to his house, because my grandmother still lives there, and replotted a garden there. There hadn't been a garden there since he passed away. So he's someone that is constantly my happy gauge, but also, you know, my focus gauge, my calm gauge. You know, people are always like, what would so-and-so do? So that's my thing, is what would Nono do?
That's beautiful. What's in your garden? What are you planting?
Oh man. So like, that's something, if, you know, I highly recommend if you need to de-stress, gardening is right at the top of the list. So we got Roma tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, yellow zucchini, green zucchini. I've got cucumbers, I have serrano peppers, ancho chili peppers, red bell peppers, sweet peppers, eggplant. I have radicchio, beets, and arugula, and pak choi, and butter lettuce. Oh man, I'm forgetting stuff. And then we have onions and chives and cilantro, dill, and basil.
That sounds incredible. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it took a long time. Sorry?
You said you don't even have to go to the store. You've got everything you need.
I mean, I have, I won't have to go to the store once it's ready. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's all going to be ready in
Right.
one shot. So yeah, it's like just sitting there waiting, and then it's like, okay, hurry up and eat everything. So I'm excited. What's great is, like, I love to use some of those things for uh, like make sauces or pickling. Obviously that's something that was always passed down to me, is how can you, the life cycle of your garden and the seasons that we have here, it's hard to kind of get it all eaten without it going bad. So figuring out how to make things work over a longer period of time. And honestly, like, I was doing that this whole kind of isolation with cooking. I was doing a lot of instructional videos about that, where it's like chili is a great one, where you make a big pot of chili and then you show people 4 or 5 different ways that they can use the chili afterwards. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
So what do you say to people like who have black thumbs, who don't know have green thumbs, what to do, where to start with gardening?
With gardening, so obviously there's a plethora of YouTube videos that are out there that show people how to garden. I think asking people that that do gardening is a great resource, because they can actually look at your land and tell you what you might need. There's also, like, we used a company called The Good Seed. They're based here in Toronto, and they're actually like garden consultants. So they come and, again, they help you map it out. They talk to you about, they help you get your seeds and your seedlings. They give you step-by-steps as what to do. They're kind of like a gardening coach that you can check in with. And it's super helpful, because at year 2, you become an expert, and then you can share that knowledge. And it's definitely a valuable piece of knowledge to share, is like how to make use of our land and have fresh ingredients available to us. I want chickens now. Like, I want like 10 chickens.
Oh my God, we'll need an update at the end of the
Yeah.
summer.
My dog will probably get to them before I do, realistically, but
amazing. Just a couple more for you.
of course.
What are your go-to snacks when you're home, or what have you been snacking on?
I love a good grilled cheese sandwich. Can't go wrong with that. A little buttered bread and melted cheese. That's a win. As far as cooking for myself, grilled cheese has been a big one. If I have to order from somewhere, and I made a lot of like cheeseburgers. I'd just be like, I'm just gonna have a cheeseburger. I feel like a cheeseburger. And then ordering pizza is that's my Achilles heel. Pepperoni green olives. I can't live without it. But now that it's nicer outdoors, I've been barbecuing and smoking a lot more. So you're just kind of using what's around you and figuring out, like, it's nice. Let's get outside at the very least. We've been indoors for like 3.5 months. Well, at least we can do is go outside now.
I love some of your videos you were sharing. I can't remember which one, but I think there was one where you were sharing all the snacks or cereal you couldn't have, like you were trying it for the first time you didn't get when you were a kid.
I wasn't allowed anything. Yeah.
It was awesome, like trying those for the first time. I loved watching those.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty wild being like in your 30s and being like, never done that one before. Like, it's a lot of sugar. It all just tastes the same. But it's I can understand why parents are like, no, you're not eating this. I was high on sugar for a few hours. So there you go.
Yeah. And last question, what's the first destination you'll travel to when we get the all clear, when things are back to somewhat of a normal?
So it's funny you say that. I was literally supposed to be flying home from Croatia today. Like, that was so I'd like to try. This is my 3rd time I've had to cancel this trip to Croatia. It was supposed to be an 8-day sailing trip along the coast. I would really, really like to get to that at some point. And then I was supposed to go to Argentina in November. I doubt that's going to happen. But if it does happen, that would be my first destination, most likely. But I got to get back to Italy, because I think whenever I need a reset or a reevaluation of things that are going on in my life, you just you find your roots, and it's very easy to get lost in the food and wine and life there. And it's great. So I would probably say, if Croatia and Argentina don't happen, I definitely going, and like Italy could really use the tourism too, after obviously everything they've been through. And so yeah, I would probably be doing that.
Well, I think we will all be dreaming of Italy and wine and good times in the future.
And chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles, absolutely. And oh, that looks amazing. I wish.
It's actually still quite crispy too. So there you go. So now we know, if you do want to heat it up, it's moisture that gets it soggy. So for example, if you were to put it in the fridge while it's still warm, the container you've closed it in is going to create moisture, and that's going to create sogginess.
Amazing. Well, that was an amazing session. I learned a lot. I know our attendees did too. So
Amazing.
we appreciate your time and thank you. Keep well, keep
You
cooking.
as well. Cheers.
And
And enjoy the rest of your day, okay? Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Matt. Take care.
All right. Cheers. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.